Good day, waterhole wanderers, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole on this wonderful Thursday morning. So we're starting today at the Olifants River. My name is Johan Herbst, and I'm the owner of this voice, and I'll be your presenter for today. So just a quick reminder that this is a live and interactive experience. We love to hear from you, so send your comments or questions through on our various platforms, social media platforms. The details are displayed on your screen below. So today I'd like to find out what your plans are for the festive season. Are you packing the car and heading off on an adventure, or are you staying at home to relax? Maybe you're dreaming of wide open bushveld sunsets, or perhaps the sound of waves and salty air is calling your name. And of course, tell me, are you camping, glamping, or treating yourself to a bit of luxury? I'd like to hear what you're looking forward to as the holiday season rolls in. So Joanne Miller says, greetings Wild Earth and Johan. Thank you very much, Joanne Miller, and greetings to you. Hopefully we have a very eventful show today. Banterat says, happy thirsty Thursday. Thank you, Banterat. I love the name. Grace 7 to 9 says, baby hippo. And see, it looks like a mother with a little baby hippo. Looks like they're just having a lovely little swim on this Thursday morning in Africa. Lenny says, hello Johan, good to hear you again. Thank you very much, Lenny. Appreciate the welcome. Penelope Kenyon saying, hello everyone, Johan, Zoomies and chatters. Thank you, Penelope. So Marion says that they're going to the USA in December and January. So whereabouts in the USA are you going, Marion? It sounds lovely. So a little interesting fact about myself, I was about 4 months old when I moved to Chicago, and we lived there for 4 years. So I had a bit of an American accent when I was younger, but I've since lost that, because since about 1996 we lived in South Africa. So Ndlovu says, we will be leaving the bush for something different, visiting family in Dubai. So that also sounds lovely. I hear Dubai has got lots of wonderful and interesting activities, quite unique. But I imagine you'd have to prepare for some serious heat. So, and I believe most places are air conditioned inside, because otherwise it would be quite unbearable. But I hope you have a lovely and safe trip in Ndlovu. Mr. Elemental says, greetings to the owner of that voice from a rainy, overcast 2 People's Bay in Western Australia. Thank you, Mr. Elemental. Sorry that the weather is a bit not that great. It's also not the best weather where I am today in Cape Town. It's a bit windy, and it seems like there was a bit of a bushfire close by, so there's a lot of smoke still in the air. And unfortunately, this time of year in South Africa, or especially in the Western Cape, shall I say, it's very prone to bushfires, uncontrolled wildfires, because of the very hot and dry conditions and also very windy conditions. Okay, let's see. I didn't quite get where we're going to next, but let's have a look at some of our other destinations. Okay, look at what we have on display for us over here. We've got some white rhinos at Mantis Founders Lodge, close to Shamwari, or adjacent to the Shamwari Game Reserve, the world famous Shamwari. And it looks like they're having a very lazy Thursday morning. And the giraffe is standing dead still like a statue, maybe having a midlife crisis. So Marion says that they're going to the freezing Minneapolis over December and January. So thanks for sharing that with me. It's so interesting finding out what everyone is doing and where everyone's from. It's incredible that we're able to have the show and broadcast it to all the corners of the globe. So I feel very privileged to be in this position. So Penelope Kenyon says, my Sheffield Beach Salt Rock home is a magnet for many of my Gauteng family. So beach Christmas as usual. So of course, for those viewers that don't know, Gauteng is one of our provinces in South Africa, and it is a landlocked province, and it's in the interior. So it has quite cold winters and very hot summers, but I think many people, because it's very city, it's just very urbanized over there, so people just want to go to the coast and just spend the holidays soaking up the sun and maybe catching some waves. So I don't blame them for wanting to visit you in your beautiful Salt Rock home. I grew up in Pretoria, so I know the feeling of wanting to escape the city. But then I lived in Hoedspruit for many years before moving down to the Cape, to the Western Cape. And we've got a beautiful sable bull in shot over here. Magnificent horns and such a beautiful black and white coat. So Recycled Teenager UK says, heading for winter here in UK. Christmas will be spent with family and a log fire. That does sound like the sort of Christmas that everyone envisions. Or think it's what you think about when you think about Christmas. So it actually sounds really lovely. So I hope that you have a wonderful time with the family. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, I still think it's a wonderful opportunity for family and friends to just be present and enjoy each other's company. So Benny is asking, why don't we show bears and tigers on the show? And so that would be because in Africa there's no naturally occurring or natural populations of bears and tigers. So I do know that on occasion, very rarely, tigers have escaped from captivity here in South Africa, but there's no natural tiger or bear populations. Okay, so let's see what's happening at Stony Point. I believe there's a bit of activity over there. Isn't that just the cutest Dussie over there, or rock hyrax? He's definitely enjoying his holiday. This is what he'll be doing for the rest of December and over Christmas. Just enjoying the Western Cape heat. So Stony Point is in Betty's Bay, which is about an hour and a half's drive from Cape Town. And so it's a lovely sunny day over there, and I'm sure that all the Dussies will be capitalizing on that. A lovely 19 degrees maximum, 19 degrees Celsius. He maybe had a big party last night and he's just recovering now. So Benny says, I watch Wild Earth every day. So I'm super pleased to hear that, Benny. I think there's so many opportunities to learn from our various presenters, and just to see the animals in their natural environments. I mean, one could go to a zoo if you live in a city, but that's of course a not very natural thing, so it's much better to view them as naturally as possible. So Jay Loco is asking, what preys on rock hyrax? And so lots of different predators would prey on the rock hyrax. One of the most well-known would be the black eagle or the Verou's eagle. So not too long ago we were displaying a black eagle's nest on the show at Salati, one of the game reserves quite close to Hoedspruit. And so there was a camera that was located, positioned to see the nest, and so we got to watch the black eagle or eaglet mature, and now that eaglet is now busy flying and is able to fly on its own, which is very impressive. And I think it's just incredible that we were able to view it, watch how it matured and learned how to fly on the show. But then, of course, other animals that would prey on the dassie would be, you'd have rock pythons, so those very large pythons that would prey on the dassies, and then also you'd have leopards or perhaps lions if they're fast enough. But like most predators, are opportunistic, so if they see a nice juicy looking dassie, they won't hesitate to take the opportunity. So Penelope Kenyon says, I love watching the dassies on top of Table Mountain. It's actually quite incredible that the dassies occur in so many different habitats, so many different environments, and it's testament to how resilient they are. So they actually don't need too much water because they're able to get a lot of their nourishment, their water from the food that they eat, so the leaves and the grasses and that they eat. And their kidneys are very well developed and specialized for maximizing the amount of water, moisture that they get from their diets. So typically you'll find these dassies, they love rocky outcrops. They tend to seek shelter in these crevices of the rocky outcrops, and to keep each other warm in the colder winter days, they have this behavior which we refer to as huddling. And so they basically just lay on top of one another and rely on each other's body heats to keep warm. So Shudulu Fan is asking, do we get snakes by the sea? So you actually get sea snakes, and in South Africa I believe the only sea snake that we get is the yellow-bellied sea snake, and it's highly venomous, and but they're actually not very aggressive, so but I wouldn't suggest handling one. But there's very few recorded bites from a yellow-bellied snake. So, but definitely you don't want to try your luck and pick one up. Then also, in this sort of environment, you'd also get puff adders. Okay, let's see what's happening at King's Camp in the Timbavati. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple of terrapins, marsh terrapins. He's just like, what? Why are you looking at me? Or maybe he's imagining he can fly. Super interesting creatures, these terrapins. Okay. Looks like this is an opportunity that couldn't be missed. We've got a couple of white rhinos which are having a bit of a standoff. Okay, so maybe it was just a slight misunderstanding. Maybe they resolved their issues. That one is just pretending as if nothing happened, the one on the left. I'm just rubbing my horn over here. Just minding my own business. So perhaps it's I can't tell at the moment whether the one on the left is maybe a male and the one on the right a female. But generally the males get much larger than the females.
Let's go and take a look. See you out there.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
Every week, the wilderness delivers.
And that's why we're here.
Drama, chaos, crimes, humour. All moments you'll never forget. We've counted them down, argued about them, and finally picked the very best. From rare sightings to classic bush showdowns, this is nature's weekly highlight reel. Sharp facts, bad jokes, and the wildest top 5 you'll see this side of the savannah. It's not just a show, it's a wild bush week.
Been at each other, trying to establish who's more dominant so that they have the mating rights with the female. So that the one on the right looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just not flinching. I think I'd be pretty terrified if I had to have a standoff with him. It looks like the one on the left is just busy sharpening its horn, much like a warrior would sharpen his blade before going into battle. We have the giraffe there in the background. You can imagine the giraffe holding a signboard saying round 2. Yesterday we had one of the rhinos up close to one of the cameras. I think it's the one in the camera that is being used at the moment. It looks like this rhino to the right has now decided it's not being taken seriously, so he's retreating a little bit. Okay, well that was exciting while it lasted. Looks like that in the background there you can see there's a male giraffe busy following a female, smelling her rump. So the giraffe males, they do this to determine whether the female is an estrus. Okay, so we're going to head back to King's Camp to have a look at the terrapins again. Looks like they're practicing their synchronized swimming. Or they're pretending that they're Superman or Superwoman. Wildlife lady was saying, gorgeous white rhinos at Founder, lovely to see them on a regular basis. Absolutely, I don't think most people realize what a privilege it is to still see rhino, and it's definitely thanks to the many different conservationists and all their efforts in ensuring that we can still view these incredible pachyderms. Interesting watching how this terrapin opens its mouth. So as you can see, the terrapin have webbed feet. So between their sharp claws, which they can use for digging, they have those webbed sort of flaps between the toes. And so they're different from tortoises. Tortoises don't have those webbed feet. And the turtles, they have more fins than webbed feet. And then of course terrapins are freshwater, so they only, okay, there we go, there's another another terrapin who also wants to be in the show. He's also an influencer trying to gain a following. So he also wants to to be on the show. There we go. So the terrapins are also omnivorous. So they feed on fish and on the different aquatic plants, and so whatever they can sort of get their hands or their webbed feet on. And tortoises are herbivores, so they mostly eat grass and different parts of plants. And then you get turtles, which are carnivorous, so they only eat fish and squid and all sorts of other creatures that you get in the ocean. So I have a comment here from Grace saying terrapins are stinky. So I've also once encountered a dead terrapin, and I can confirm that they are not the most pleasant smelling creatures. Okay, let's have a look at what's happening at Old Donyo. Oh, lovely. We've got a couple of elephants, a few giraffe, and an eland in picture. Yeah, I just received an update that at Founders there's a giraffe that's looking to mate. Okay, there we go. And as I was mentioning earlier, that male was smelling this female's rump, because normally in the urine there's a lot of excess hormones that get excreted. So all the excess estrogen or progesterone, the different hormones of the female, and so the male then detects those hormones through this very funny looking behavior called the Flehmen grimace. So they open their mouths up, and they curve their upper lip so that these scent molecules can touch the top of their upper palate, and on this upper palate is what we refer to as the organ of Jacobson, and so they're able to detect pheromones and different scent molecules that then attach to that organ, and then they can decipher the message of whether the female is in heat or not. So Lenny says, great close-up. I'm not sure whether that's referring to the last image that we had, but either way, thank you for the comment, Lenny. It seems that there's plenty of action at Mantis Founders Lodge. A lot of passion. Oh wow. Look at that. That's I haven't seen that before. The rhino is obviously very grumpy. Maybe that's the one that lost the fight earlier. Maybe he's being a bit of a sore loser. The giraffe is no threat to the rhino. And they also compete for two completely different resources, because the giraffe only eat leaves and the rhinos are mostly grazers, so it's quite unusual behavior. So that was, as I was mentioning, how action-packed Mantis Founders Lodge has been this morning. We had a rhino charge or mock charge a giraffe. A lot of passion, as I was mentioning today. It's definitely like a movie over here today. There's love, drama, fighting, action. We're just having it all today at Mantis Founders Lodge. So Penelope Kenyon says that the rhino thinks he owns this waterhole, and it would definitely seem that would be the case. But he has to obviously prove it by chasing all the other threats away, or potential threats. And as you can see with this rhino in shot, there's like a hole in the ear of the rhino, and this is unfortunately what conservationists, what reserve managers need to do. So they make these incisions in the ears of the rhinos in order to monitor them, in order to be able to uniquely identify individuals, because it's incredibly important that they're monitored to have an idea of the numbers on the reserve, because on some reserves there's plenty of rhino and they're not very easy to identify just by looking at them. They don't have stripe patterns, unique stripe patterns, and so they just look like a big ball of muscle and thick skin. Oh, this guy doesn't look very happy. So Roz in George in the garden route says rhino with attitude, and that's definitely the case with these rhino at Mantis Founders Lodge. At the moment this one is just quite cautious, the one in the foreground, that's just under the tree. The tail also gives an indication of whether they feel threatened or not. Normally they curl their tail up like a pig if they feel threatened. You can see that tail is slightly lifting there. Okay, now it looks like 2 against 1 over here. I wonder if you could hear what these rhino were saying. I wonder what the conversation would sound like right now. So please keep those comments and questions rolling in. I'd still like to hear what your plans are for the December holidays. Are your holidays normally action-packed or totally relaxed? So are you going somewhere familiar, or are you trying a new spot out this year? Please do let me know. We can have a bit of a discussion. I'm always so impressed by the thick skin of the rhinos. It's just so, they're just so remarkable, these large pachyderms. So the white rhino is the biggest of the 5 species that still exist. And in Africa we only have the white and black rhinos. And the black rhino is quite significantly smaller, but is a lot more aggressive. So I've heard many anti-poaching people and land managers and guides that have been charged by black rhino, either in vehicles or on foot. And the best way to not get floored by a black rhino is by climbing a tree. So I've heard of quite a few people who've had to climb a tree in a last dash effort to survive. So I didn't copy the last place that the next place we're going to, but let's go to the next destination. Okay, looks like we're at Serengeti Explorer now in Tanzania, in the Serengeti, hence the name. We've got some chacma baboons. Looks like they're celebrating Christmas under the Bushveld Christmas tree. The youngsters are opening their presents. Oh wow, we've got a waterbuck in picture there. beautiful divisive waterbuck. I actually didn't even know there was a different species of waterbuck until the other day when I saw them for the first time. As I've mentioned, I've only guided in South Africa before, and so I'm also learning as we go in the show. So it's really fun and interesting to see new animals. And that's one of the best parts for me about visiting different regions and new places, is that there's new animals and birds to be seen. So that's one of the greatest gifts about being a birder as well, is that there's always a new bird to tick off the list when you visit a new place. So Eddie says they'll be in Etosha in Namibia for December. So that sounds fantastic. I really wish I could visit Etosha. I've never been. I've been to Namibia before, but never to Etosha. And I hope you have a wonderful time there in Etosha. I'm sure you'll be having all the fun, and you'll be seeing all of the lovely wildlife on display over there. Oh, we've got some more action. There's a lot of romance happening. Oh, there we go. There's the phlegm and grimace. That action that I was telling you about earlier, where the male curves his lips upwards to smell the female's urine, to get that. Shame this female is just looking to have a drink of water, and just this male won't leave her alone. Look at that. It looks incredibly silly doing that, but that's now in order to pick up those pheromones that the female is emitting. He just doesn't seem to want to let it go. She's just not that into you, buddy. I think you need to just let it go now. So I've got a question here from Eagle asking what other animals are threatened. So there's a lot of different animals in southern Africa that are threatened. One that springs to mind is the pangolin. Unfortunately, the pangolins are poached and trafficked for their scales, and also they're a delicacy in some countries. And so the scales are believed to have some medicinal properties, and in some places and in some cultures, they're believed to, if you are in possession of the pangolin scales, you almost have supernatural powers, like you are able to not be killed by a bullet, for example. So it's believed that the bullets will sort of disintegrate in mid-air if you're in possession of these scales. Looks like this female waterbuck has taken an interest in this hammerkop. It's interesting that we have some interspecies interactions today. So some interactions between different species, and then we also have some interesting intra-specific interactions. So interactions between members of the same species. So Melanistic Marble says, it's good there's more than one possible mate, but surely the female should make the choice. Lol. Definitely a different set of rules in the animal kingdom. And I think the males, they're sometimes so, their brains are sort of overridden by their hormones, and they just go for whichever female is most in heat or most fertile. So Rolo is asking what's on my bucket list in terms of countries to guide at. And I've mentioned before, I would love to visit Zimbabwe, to visit monopools, and I would also love to visit the Serengeti and Etosha. I think all those destinations, in fact, any of these destinations on our many different cameras would be incredible to guide at. I have worked at or near some of the destinations, some of the camera locations. I was working in Hoedspruit for quite a while, so, and I also
the bush, full of beauty, wonder, and absolute chaos. And now, all that madness has its own show. It's called a Wild Bush Week. The countdown of the most outrageous, heart-stopping, and sometimes downright ridiculous wildlife moments of the week. Lions throwing their weight around. Hyenas gate-crashing the buffet. Leopards doing, well, leopardy things. Each week, it's a fresh reel of safari gold, a mix of drama,
She's just got to Impala, everybody.
danger, and a healthy dose of laughter. So, if you fancy a highlight show with bite, and I don't mean just the animals, tune in to a Wild Bush Week. You bring the tea, and we'll bring the tusks, tails, and teeth.
in Africa. And so vultures are definitely up there with some of the most threatened animals, and they play an incredibly important role, as we know, in cleaning up carcasses, preventing diseases from spreading, and making sure that all those nutrients go back into the soil through their feces and that. And so there were quite a few white-backed vultures' nests that are located along the Olifants River. And at one stage there were many Hull's fishing owl nests along the banks of the Olifants River, but it seems that many of them have moved off to other places. It's believed that many of them have now moved to the Limpopo region, which is further north, the Limpopo River, and so they have breeding sites over there. So unfortunately, there's such a high demand for bush villas and for lodges along the Olifants River, and so unfortunately many of these lodges and houses get built in areas close to where the vultures or fishing owls nest, and so this is definitely a threat to the vultures and the owls, because they obviously want to breed in a site where there's minimal disturbances, or at least human disturbances. So you can imagine with the building and all the people that come in and out of the area, that it would be quite a disturbance. So that, among the other threats being poisoning. So many of our very important vultures are being killed by indiscriminate poisonings. So unfortunately, the vultures, they eat carcasses which have been laced with poison, normally two-step, which is a type of pesticide which farmers use. And so this is in order for the poachers. So the poachers, they sorry about that. So let's see what's happening at Moela. Okay, it looks like we've got some elephant bulls over here in Botswana, Moela Lodge. So as I was mentioning, the carcasses of animals get laced with poison, and so sometimes the poachers, they put poison in these carcasses so that it's not the vultures, obviously an indication of where a big carcass might be located, like a rhino or elephant carcass of a recently poached rhino or elephant. And so the poachers do this so that they can save themselves time, so that they avoid detection by anti-poachers. And so they also killed the vultures for their body parts. So their body parts are used in many traditional medicines in Africa. And so the eyes of the vulture is believed to give one clairvoyant abilities. So you're able to supposedly see into the future if you ingest some of this, some of the body parts of the vulture, especially the eyes. And of course, there's no scientific evidence to back this, and so it's very important that we educate people as to the fact that these animals, they don't have the so-called medicinal properties that they're believed to have. So Leratu says, so nice watching Wild Earth while crocheting in the comfort of your home. So I've never crocheted myself, but I do see that it is quite a relaxing activity. So I'm glad that you're with us today, Leratu, and that we can provide some entertainment for you while you're crocheting. So Rolo answered my question as to what would be on his bucket list, or sorry, her bucket list, I'm not sure, for a destination to visit. And so Rolo says Monopools and Sossusvlei, which is Sossusvlei is located in Namibia, also a stunning region of Namibia, and Monopools, as we mentioned, located in Zimbabwe. And I also haven't been to Sossusvlei. That's quite a tongue twister, but I would definitely love to visit at some point. Okay, let's see what's happening at Tau in Madikwe, Tau Game Lodge. Okay, so we've got some blue wildebeest or brindled gnu in picture here. So I haven't told a joke on the show in a while, and so I thought I would share a joke, quite an appropriate joke for you. So one time I got attacked by a wildebeest, but another wildebeest came to my aid and rescued me. There's good news and there's bad news. So yeah, there's definitely the good news and the bad news, but I'm sure these are good news. But on a more serious note, they can actually be quite aggressive if cornered, but that is quite an unlikely event that you would corner a gnu. But especially the males, they can be quite aggressive and territorial. And as you can see, they've got these sloping backs. And so they've got quite strong shoulders and strong forelimbs in order to support those heavy heads of theirs. And then they have slightly less developed back legs and rump. And this is for energy efficiency when they are traveling great distances, because the wildebeest are known to migrate great distances in order to follow the rainfall. So we know about the great migration in the Serengeti in East Africa, where you have thousands upon thousands of wildebeest, blue wildebeest and zebra, plain zebra, which migrate to follow the rainfall. So when it dries up in one region, then they migrate to the other region. And so the second largest migration occurs in Botswana, at some of our locations along the Boteti River, like Camelthorn Farmstead and Meno Kwena and Moela Lodge. And so at the moment, these wildebeest and zebras, they've now gone to the Machari pans, the salt pans, and which is located further east. And so the reason being is that it's now rained a bit more, because it's now the summer months over there, so they receive summer rainfall, and so they migrate to the areas with more rainfall. And so the pans then attract all these wildebeest and zebra, and so then they leave the Boteti River, but then they go back to the Boteti River when the salt pans dry up, because the Boteti River has pockets of waterholes, and so the Boteti River is actually a river which doesn't always flow, but if the Okavango Delta has received lots of rain, and all the overflow will end up in the Boteti River. So Tong Po is asking, are wildebeest as dangerous as buffaloes? And so buffaloes, I would argue, are probably one of the most dangerous of the big five animals, because they're the most unpredictable. And so buffaloes, they, as large as they are, they're also very fast. They can, a human can't outrun a buffalo. They can run up to 56 kilometers per hour, and they can weigh up to 900 kilograms. So they would make very good rugby players and very good bulldozers. So they could run right over you and they end up trampling the unfortunate victims. So the wildebeest, I was mentioning, they can get quite aggressive if they're cornered, but it's very unlikely that they will attack a human. And in any other circumstance, but of course, if you do corner one, it would really have to feel threatened in order to attack.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Whoop. Woo. This is action-packed.
Best sighting I've presented. I found myself with wild dogs. We chased the dogs around, chased them around. They ate an impala. We got the end of that. Then another impala went into Gowrie Dam down the road there, and the wild dogs went around. Eventually the impala came close to the bank. One wild dog went and grabbed it and then just pulled it out and just did what wild dogs do. It was an emotional experience, but it was very, very special.
There's some ellies that we're approaching now.
Light on her as well is absolutely gorgeous.
So we are going to enjoy the rest of this sunset.
Wow, this is absolutely crazy.
And thank you for joining us. For myself and Cam, we will see you next time.
Oh, we've got a dung beetle. It's very interesting that there's dung beetles on the reed over here. Doing a Mission Impossible or an Alex Honnold freestyle or free climb without any ropes. If you look at their heads, one that's bobbing up and down there, you can see it's perfectly suited for digging, which the dung beetles end up doing when they've rolled a ball of dung. They dig, some of the dung beetles, they dig their dung balls underground. And they also use those incredibly strong front legs of theirs, and their hind legs also incredibly strong. They actually stand on their front legs and they use their back legs to roll the ball, even against gravity, up some quite steep terrain. It's quite interesting that dung beetles, they actually use the Milky Way to navigate, so to move around and to find their way about the bush. And so they actually did quite interesting research in order to prove this. And so they basically mimicked the stars with the planetarium, and they put these dung beetles in the planetarium, and when they had the Milky Way up on display, then the dung beetles were able to navigate properly. But then when they made it dark and there were no stars on display, then the dung beetles were completely lost and they were walking around aimlessly. It's quite remarkable that it uses the Milky Way as a map to find its way around. Much like I'm sure the old sailors would have done. Yeah, so these guys are very important in the environment in terms of recycling all the nutrients back into the soil. So the balls that they roll up ends up in the soil, and a lot of the weight of the dung ends up they ingest as a liquid. So they basically suck the ball dry of all the liquid. Okay, so let's see what's happening in Wangi in Zimbabwe. Oh wow, we've got quite a lot of marabou stork here. And that guy in the middle is saying, "Have you seen my beach ball? It looks like this," and went over there. You mean that beach ball that looked like this? Was it this big and went that way? Yes, that's exactly the beach ball that I'm referring to. Nope, haven't seen it. You mean it was that big? Yeah, that big. So these guys are scavengers, the marabou storks. They tend to hang out around carcasses where vultures are, and they wait for pieces of meat to be ripped off by the very efficient beaks or bills of the vultures. And because these marabou storks, they're not very good at tearing the flesh themselves, but their stomachs are very well suited for the meat from the carcass, and so they've got a very strong stomach acid, which would kill any bacteria, harmful bacteria, or diseases which can sometimes be carried by the carcasses. But they aren't just scavengers, they also can be quite efficient hunters. So they sometimes like to use their long legs to make the water a bit muddy underneath them, and then they, in order to disturb the fishes and the frogs in the water, and then they use their long beaks to snatch up a frog or a fish. So Daniel Sweifer says a flock of butlers. So it would, they do actually look a bit like butlers with their hands behind their backs and with their suits and their white shirts. I also like to compare ground hornbills to butlers or very posh people that walk with their hands behind their back. As we could see earlier, I was making a bit of a silly joke, pretending that these storks were looking for beach balls, like this one over here, saying the beach ball was that big. But what's quite remarkable is they can sometimes have a wingspan of up to 3.2 meters, which is a meter and a bit taller than Victor Matfield or some of your really large rugby players. So Joanne Miller is saying that she would love to see a croc, and also always enjoy seeing crocodiles on the show. I think they're just incredible reptiles. So I've just been told that there's some more scavengers at Victoria Falls. So let's go to another location in Zimbabwe. And here we've got some white-backed vultures. It's lovely to see them. As I mentioned, they are quite endangered, lots of different threats, mostly human threats. And so, as I was mentioning, a lot of their breeding sites, the breeding sites of these white-backed vultures are located along the Olifants River. So there was unfortunately a poisoning that happened in the middle of this year, and where there were about 150 odd vultures that were killed, and but fortunately many of them were rescued by the efforts of many different stakeholders, many different conservationists. And so what they would have needed to do is pump the stomachs of these vultures and feed them lots of charcoal. And fortunately, they were able to save many of these vultures. But as you can imagine, they're not quite the same again after a poisoning. So it can be quite stressful on their bodies, as you can imagine, if you've drunk poison but you manage to survive. So it can impact on their breeding behavior, and maybe makes them slightly weaker genetically. So, and of course, the more vultures that die, the smaller the gene pool becomes. So not very much diversity in the gene pool means inbreeding, and of course we wouldn't want that. We want strong vultures to soar along the savannah, the African savannas. Okay, I believe there's a roller of some sort at Lentor Lodge in Kenya. And lo and behold, a beautiful lilac-breasted roller. In Afrikaans, they're called a troupand, so which basically means a wedding band, because their feathers were sometimes used back in the day as a sort of a beautiful display on the dresses and the wedding bands of the bride. And I actually, when I proposed to my fiancée, I gave her a feather from a lilac-breasted roller, which I'd picked up in the bush. And I actually commissioned some earrings to be made from the feathers. So they actually look very pretty on her. They're just absolutely stunning birds, such vibrant colors, such picturesque birds. And so you'll often find them in areas which have recently been burnt, or in areas that are burning, because they like to wait for insects to be flushed out of the grass. So they're relatively common in the Kruger National Park and on the other reserves which are adjacent to the Kruger. So Wildlife Lady says, have to leave early. Enjoyed today's live at the waterhole. Thanks, Johan, FC, and all the Zoomies. So thank you very much for joining us, Wildlife Lady. Always enjoy your questions and comments. So I hope you have a lovely day further. Thank you for your involvement in today's show. So Ollie Virch is asking what I'm doing for the December holidays. And so I'll be flying up to the Lowveld, up to the Hoedspruit region in a week's time. And I'll be spending about a week there to celebrate my fiance's sort of signing. We're going to do a signing, and so yeah, we're very much looking forward to just relaxing in the bush. So we actually won a competition to a 3-night stay at one of the very fancy lodges on one of the parks that is adjacent to the Kruger National Park. So it's actually part of the greater Kruger National Park. So then after that, I'll be coming back to Cape Town, and then some of my family is flying from overseas to celebrate the festivities of me and my fiance getting married, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. And that's the nice thing about living at the holiday destination, is that you don't have to go anywhere, and people just come to you over the festive season. So let's keep those questions and comments coming in. Maybe I can prompt you with a question. So do you have any unusual festive traditions in your family or group? Yeah, please do share. I know in my family we used to listen to an old Waikiki tape. So Waikiki music being the very traditional Hawaiian music, and we would often listen to that on Christmas Day. So what unusual traditions do you have in your family or group of friends? So Robert Davies says, what a nice view of the lilac-breasted roller. They do not normally sit still for so long. So definitely, Robert, it's lovely to see them so still for so long. So yeah, definitely really lovely sight. So let's head over to Moella Lodge, where I believe there's some elephants. Okay, so we're at the Botete River now in Botswana. So there's not as much activity happening along the Botete River now, or at least not the thousands and thousands of zebra and wildebeest that are frequenting the river banks and the dry river beds. And as you can see, it's received a little bit of rain. So Recycle Teenager UK says, congratulations, Johan, fantastic news. So thank you very much, Recycle Teenager. I really appreciate that. We're very, very excited to tie the knot and yeah, just to spend a bit of time relaxing in the wonderful African bush. I definitely do enjoy just relaxing sometimes in the bush, because it's if you've worked in the bush as a guide or a reserve manager or in the lodge industry, you don't really ever get a moment to just breathe and be present and just take it all in. You know, it's always go go go, and you're always on standby, and you can't just fully relax and let your guard down. So it's really nice when you just get to visit the bush and just sit and watch the wildlife and be present and not try and identify everything, or maybe you can at your own leisure, but you don't have to think of everything so scientifically. You can just enjoy what nature has in store. So Nolene says, my mom will be turning 90 years old during the Christmas holidays, so lots to celebrate. That's incredible. Well, that's definitely something to celebrate. Okay, so let's see what's happening at Temple Plains. So definitely fantastic to celebrate her 90th, Nolene. I think not many people that reach that milestone. Okay, so it looks like we have a Nile crocodile in view over here. And it's just busy cooling itself off now. So that's why they keep their mouths open like that for extended periods, because these large reptiles don't have sweat glands, so they rely on their external environment to cool themselves off and to warm themselves up. And so what they're doing by opening their mouths is they're allowing the heat from their bodies to dissipate through their gums, and so their gums are very rich in blood capillaries, and that cool air flowing over their gums will cool their blood down, the blood that then pumps to the rest of the body. And it looks like there's some carmine bee-eaters which are flying past the camera. So Mr. Elemental says, we have homemade strawberry ice cream. Sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twister. We have homemade strawberry ice cream cake in lieu of fruit cake because it's normally over 30 degrees Celsius here at Christmas. So, yeah, I think I would actually prefer the homemade strawberry ice cream cake over the fruit cake any day. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of fruitcake, but I will eat it. I'm not too fussy of an eater, but the strawberry ice cream cake sounds amazing. So I actually just want to run off and get myself some right now. So Trixie Rose says, Johannesburg is super quiet during December, January. It's the best time to be here when everyone's gone away on their holidays. So I couldn't agree with you more. Joburg and Pretoria is always actually so much nicer during the December and January holidays. It's just you don't have to wait in queues as long. The service is much better because you're not having to wait for your food as long. And the people, there's just generally a nicer vibe around Joburg and Pretoria. And so definitely lots to look forward to during that time if you're staying there. So Robert Davey says, congratulations are in order and wishing you and your fiance all the best. Thank you so very much, Robert. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to marry the woman of my dreams. So yeah, I couldn't be more excited. So that's, yeah, very much excited. We have a wattled lapwing in the foreground that just went out of picture. See, those wattled lapwing need to be sure not to get too close to the crocodile. But let's head over to Rosie's pan and see what's happening over there. Okay, we've got elephant bull busy having a little goof, a little swim on Bulule Nature Reserve. Which is quite close to Hoedspruit. And so it's a nice sunny day, or mostly sunny day there in Hoedspruit, with 70% humidity and a high of 27 degrees Celsius. So lovely day there, except for the humidity probably in Hoedspruit. We've got a little blacksmith lapwing running around in the background. I'd like to prompt you with another question. So if you could spend your holiday with one wild animal, which would it be? So would you like to spend the holiday with this Ellie, busy swimming in the different waterholes in the bush? Or would you like to be dazzling with the zebra, or journeying with the giraffe? So please do share with me what animal you would like to spend your holiday with, if you could choose. I think I would like to laze around with the hippo in the be in the swimming pool the whole December holiday. Lady Macbeth says wild dog, always. Melinda says leopard. So I do love wild dogs. I just think you'd need to be incredibly fit to follow them, because they have such incredible endurance. They're able to just run immense distances to find prey. So Tong Po says, I would choose monkeys and elephants. So, yeah, if one were able to ride on the back of elephants, I think that would be quite interesting. And, yeah, to just chill in the trees with the monkeys. So Sasquatch Keith says, pangolins are my choice. I think they are such beautiful animals. Absolutely, Sasquatch Keith. I couldn't agree with you more. I think they're such unique creatures as well. That's quite incredible when they roll up into a ball, that even the teeth of a lion or a leopard can't easily pierce those tough scales, which are basically just the same as the keratin which you find in your fingernails or your hair, that protein which forms the fingernails or hair. And so they're basically like a ball of really thick fingernails. So Melanistic Marble says, yes, good question. Outside the room an Ellie would be good. Inside the room a cheetah maybe. So yeah, that's I was actually very fortunate when I was working not too far from this location here, Rosie's Pan. I would have elephants frequenting or walking past my house on a regular basis, so I was very privileged in that regard. But I never
This is an unbelievable afternoon.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
My full name is Mpho Muthusi Tikani. I grew up in Soweto. My first animal that I filmed said to dog. Okay, no, it's my first animal that I filmed, I think it was an impala. Best sighting ever, I would say it was actually this year, 2024. But it was at this Cedric when we had Muluwati and TP on a warthog kill. I think we have to cut it.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you will not miss out. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7, and you can even rewind if you have missed out on something. Enjoy the behind-the-scenes video clips as well as fireside chat, or get the early offers on our travel experiences. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Very low bassy sort of vocalization. Aren't they just fascinating? I really do enjoy watching them, especially when they're mobile like this. So Mountain Man says that they would like to spend the holiday with the Pride of Lions, just sleep and rest most of the day. That also sounds like an awesome way to spend the holidays, just eating and lazing about. So Moonlight at Midnight says that they would like to spend the holiday with Queen Tlalamba or her daughter Princess Chipondo, sorry. I'm not quite sure who those are, but I imagine it's maybe a lion or a leopard. So Joanne Miller says, thank you Wild Earth and Johan, have a good day, or good Thursday all. Okay, so I just received an update that there are leopards, so the Tlalamba and Chipondo. So yes, I think I'd just be in awe of the beauty of them every day, just looking at their wonderful coats. So Roar says, definitely for the humor factor, they would love to spend the holiday with baby elephants. So yeah, it's so comical watching baby elephants, because they don't know how to use their trunks just yet, so their trunks are just flapping about, and they charge at the slightest provocation. I've once had a baby elephant charge me, but it was kind of like a mock charge, so it's not but they obviously don't follow through with it because they're not strong enough. So I had a comment come through earlier from Sascott Keith saying, I've been in Scotland for the past 10 years. Every Christmas we South Africans get together for a braai. Ever braaied in the snow? I can't say that I've ever braaied in the snow, but I did live in the UK for a year, and we did have the odd braai when the weather conditions allowed us to. But I'm so glad that you're sticking with the traditions. Oh, we've got it looks like is it a mongoose or a squirrel? Okay, so it looks like it went out of shot now, but let's go to King's Camp. Let's see what's happening there in the Timbavati. So we've still got this terrapin, which is still practicing its synchronized swimming. So Moonlight at Midnight commented earlier saying, congratulations to you both on your upcoming wedding. Hope it's as special as you hoped. So thank you so very much, Moonlight at Midnight. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it's just incredible once you've found your person, and life just becomes so much more amazing once you've found your human. So I'm very, very lucky to have found my human, and yeah, I'm very excited to spend the rest of my life with her. So thank you very much. So Recycled Teenager UK says, thanks for a great show, fantastic wildlife and information. So thank you very much for your involvement and for your comments and everything, Recycled Teenager. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. So Spasiankov says, I also adore watching baby elephants, Johan. Super comical and entertaining to watch the baby elephants. So Tong Po says, congrats on the upcoming wedding, buddy. Wish you love and eternity together, Tong Po. Thank you so much, Tong Po. That's a very heartfelt message. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Definitely looking forward to the eternity together. And I wish you a very happy and blessed festive season, wherever you decide to spend it. Have a lovely day, everyone, and I wish you an awesome festive season. See you next time.